Hello, readers! Welcome back to Reading in the Middle, the podcast where we explore middle grade books with creators behind them and the stories that spark our imaginations. I'm your host, Annisha Jeffries, and today I am absolutely thrilled to welcome Carolyn Leiloglou. Carolyn is the author of the award-winning middle grade fantasy series, The Restorationists, which culminates in her brand new release, Beyond the Far Horizon. She draws from a rich background of art, creativity, and family life, homeschooling mother of four, to bring vivid worlds of courageous young adults to life. In this conversation, we'll discuss Carolyn's writing journey, how her love of art influenced her storytelling, the challenges and joys of creating for middle grade readers, what led to Beyond the Far Horizon, and what's next for her horizon. So grab your favorite notebook, settle in, and let's jump into magic of writing with Carolyn Leiloglou. Carolyn, welcome to Reading in the Middle. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure for you to be here. I'm glad. First, I want to begin with the opening of Beyond the Far Horizon because, wow, readers meet Ravi clutching a stolen frame, hiding it under a pillow, already planning an escape route, even though he's surrounded by people who want to help him. That tension hooked me instantly. And what made you choose this moment, this fear and mistrust to open the final book, if that is the final book?
Well, so far it is. At this point, yeah, it's the final book. So Ravi is coming from a place where he hasn't been able to trust people. Basically, he was kidnapped as a small child and taken and kind of used in a way for his gifts. In this whole, I guess maybe I should explain this whole world of the Restorationists. It's much like our world, except that art is powerful, paintings are portals, and then one family has been tasked with protecting them. And so the characters in these books have the ability to travel into the paintings, and they each have certain gifts or skills that are available for them to use within the paintings. And so Ravi has been in a position where he's been forced to steal and use his gifts for evil, but then he's been offered this chance kind of at redemption, but he's not sure that he can trust these people any more than he could trust his former captors. And so he's left wanting to make sure that he has an escape route if he needs it. And so that's why I thinking through who he was and where he was coming from, I wanted to just give the reader an instant glimpse of his conflict, his inner conflict, and ended up being really great about that decision to start with that picture frame is that it ended up being a really crucial part of the plot at multiple junctures in ways that I hadn't really envisioned, which was very cool. It just felt like a gift to me when
it's very cool.
Those things happen. And so, yeah, it was a moment to show his character and his struggle. And then it just wove its way into the story.
Yes, and listeners, this is a trilogy, so this is book 3. And throughout the trilogy, Ravi grows from a mysterious background character into the emotional heart of book 3. In the excerpt where he looks at a Polaroid of himself with a toddler, Georgia, that longing and that distance is so powerful. How did you approach deepening Ravi's journey from book 1 to the finale?
Yeah. So it's so interesting. When I started the series, I knew I wanted Vincent to be the viewpoint character for book 1 and Georgia the viewpoint character for book 2, but I didn't really know who would be that final viewpoint character. And Ravi kind of came in as a surprise character to me. We encountered him when Vincent and Georgia go to save Vincent's sister, Lily. And he was always someone with this inner conflict, you could tell. He maybe wanted to escape, but he wasn't sure where his loyalties lied, and he knew he needed to protect himself. That's where Ravi is coming from. And then coming into book 3, I just tried to picture him as he's basically in the position of a foster kid, and how would he react in this situation? He
Right.
definitely would not have that trust yet that had to be earned, certainly. Yeah, it was interesting. I have good friends that have fostered a lot, and just kind of like thinking back on their experiences with those kids and trying to love them. And yeah, just that kind of gave me a vision for maybe how Robbie would react.
Yeah, one of the things I adore about the Restorationists is the theme of family, messy, complicated, healing family. And in this book, readers see Ravi torn between wanting to belong and fearing he'll be hurt again. What drew you to exploring this tension across all three books?
That is a great question that I'm not sure I have the answer to. I hadn't thought about the fact that you're right, about family across the three books. I mean, family is very important to me. My kids are very close with their cousins. And so thinking about Georgia and Vincent's relationship as their second cousins, technically, and wanting that to be like a close relationship. And then bringing Ravi in as kind of like a found family. And, he didn't know coming in. I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler for people who haven't started the series, but his family had been connected with the other families as well beforehand. Um, but yeah, you're right. I'd have to go to dig deeper into my own past to think about why that is important to me. But you're right, that is a theme throughout the books.
Mm-hmm. And Georgia and Vincent, as we mentioned, they bring so much energy and humor. Even in their sibling banter is so alive. How did you shape their growth together and individually from book 1 through book 3?
Yeah. So, they definitely start out on the wrong foot in book 1. Even though they're second cousins, they're just meeting at this point, and their families kind of had been estranged. And so they also have to kind of figure out, is this someone that I can trust with my secrets? That's a big theme in book 1, is they both kind of have secrets from each other that they're holding back. And it really does bring them closer, at least by the end of book 2. They settle things at book 1, and then there's some more conflict in book 2. But by the beginning of book 3, they feel like a lot more of a team. And like there's this closeness that Ravi is kind of on the outside of, looking in and not really sure what to make of it, not really having grown up with a family of his own. So yeah, I think I probably get a lot of that from my kids' interactions.
And now across the trilogy, you build villains who grow layered and more dangerous. From the lady to the expanded distortionists to Dorian Quinn. How did you approach developing villains who escalate the stakes without overshadowing the young characters?
Yeah, so I knew that the lady was not going to be the main villain. She's the main villain in book 1, but she's really just a foretaste of what's really going on. So I wanted her to be a little bit more multidimensional. And then for the big bad to be Dorian Quinn as the head of the Distortionists. And he's very dangerous villain, but also very kind of suave and disarming in some ways, where you don't necessarily realize how dangerous he is. So it was interesting to kind of explore expanding that world and what it would be like. So when Ravi sees her, obviously he has a very conflicted relationship with Adelaide, but Miss Art, she really has to go through quite a transformation. She is quite timid at the beginning of the series. She's very afraid for her children to get involved with the Restorationists because there is a lot of danger there, which she knows very well from her past. And so really is, honestly, I feel like this mama bear instinct that I was trying to draw out in her, where there's two different ways to protect. There's this isolating way to protect, is what she was doing, but then there's this like being able to equip your kids and stand alongside them, and that's what she is able to move into in book 3. And it's a really cool transformation to watch for her.
Book through, the Caravaggio scene becomes both a test and an invitation. What guides your characters, of which artworks appear in each book?
what guides my choices of what artworks appear?
Yep.
Okay. So so I wanted all of the art they visit to be real. That was really important to me. My mom was an art teacher, and do little art sessions with my kids too every summer for quite a while, which was a lot of fun. So I wanted all the art to be real and to abide by the laws of reality. All of the art possessed by the bad guys has to be stolen art. So I had to do a lot of research. Like, thankfully, there's an FBI database, and then there is an Interpol database that I was able to get access to.
Oh.
So technically, the real story of the painting that the Caravaggio is that it was stolen, but then it was actually very sadly eaten by rats. But so I took a little bit of a liberty saying like maybe it was a forgery that was eaten by rats, and the distortionists have the actual one because it was a stolen painting that was not recovered. So that was kind of a difficult but fun. Like, it gave me some interesting moments and ways to like interact with paintings that we as the public don't have access to anymore. Like in book 1, it was Storm on the Sea of Galilee, which was stolen in 1990 in the Isabella Stewart Gardner heist, which, by the way, it's the largest art heist in history. Even the most recent Louvre heist that just happened a few weeks ago pales in comparison. So that heist, the Louvre heist, the recent one, was only about $100 million worth of stolen jewels. And the Gardner heist was $600 million worth of stolen art. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. So anyways, it was a lot of fun to be able to incorporate that. And one other cool story about incorporating stolen art is one of the pieces in book 3. I think it's St. Gregory of Nazianzus, painted by Rubens, actually was recovered between the writing of the book and during the copy editing. The copy editor found that it had actually been recovered very recently. But I'm like, let's leave it in there. I bet the restorationists had something to do with its recovery.
Yes, absolutely.
So that was a very cool story because a lot of times, stolen art just never is recovered.
That's wonderful and timely, right? In your books because of these heists. And you said in 1990, that was like $600 million?
Yes.
Holy cow.
There were multiple Rembrandts, a Vermeer, and several others. It's a really interesting heist, and there's a lot of mystery kind of surrounding it in a way. There's a lot of books been written about it, so I'd encourage y'all to look it up if you're interested. Yeah.
What did your mom think? As an art teacher, what did she think about those heists?
Oh, about the heists. Yeah. Obviously, they're very sad because you can't experience those paintings anymore, and they are kind of damaged a lot of times because the thieves use like a box cutter to cut the canvas out so they can transport it more easily. They just like roll it up, which obviously is not great. That you don't want to store paintings that way. They really do need to be stretched over there. And so, it is sad. After all this time, it seems unlikely that it'll be recovered, but we can still hope. I would definitely love to see that one in person.
Yes.
But we shall see.
We shall see. Now, Carolyn, I'm going to switch gears a little bit for a moment.
Yeah.
Your picture book, I had to ask you about this.
Because you're a librarian, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's such a joy. Does writing picture books influence how you approach middle grade novels, especially with the pacing and emotional clarity?
That's a really great question. So I did start out writing picture books, and I feel like it was actually very good training, even though the writing is very different. I was writing picture books when my kids were much younger, and I had very little time. And so it gave me the ability to write, a draft in one sitting or do a revision in one sitting, and then be able to feel like I was understanding both like how story works, and then number 2, like how to make my writing kind of crisp, how to make it move along, how to like choose the right words,
Right.
You really have to choose every perfect word for a picture book, right? And so it really was good training. Now, what it didn't teach me was the stamina that I was going to need to write a middle grade novel. That was like the big shift there. But I think it kind of taught me how to focus on story and my character arcs and not have a lot of superfluous stuff bogging it down. So I've been told that the Restorationist books are very fast paced and they're hard to put down because, they just keep going, which I think is a great thing, especially for a middle grade novel. Yeah.
Absolutely. And from the beginning of your books, they wrestle with some weighty themes: loyalty, identity, healing, and finding where you belong. Were these themes important for you, for middle grade, for you and for middle grade readers?
Yeah, I think so. I know the books that I loved the most as a kid were books that took me seriously as a reader, that dealt with like real emotions and real decisions. And so I wanted to take my readers seriously too, right? I don't want to I want to give them something real and also that families could enjoy together if they wanted to, where the adults aren't bored. And so I yeah, I tried to deal with like real themes, real Vincent makes like some real bad decisions in that first book that he has to like recover from and apologize for. And I feel like it's great to have those models for kids, like, hey, what happens if you make these decisions that are more selfish versus like helping others? It looks like either way, and how to recover from making the wrong choice.
Yes, yes. And the title, Beyond the Far Horizon, is so evocative. Early in the book, and I'm just going to say it, everybody's going to have to read it, listeners. Ravi, he stands inside a Thomas Cole painting and wonders what might be waiting beyond those painted hills. What does the far horizon symbolize for you?
Yeah, for me and for Ravi, definitely, he is longing. There's like something out there. Like he knows that there's something that he is longing for that he just can't quite grasp on his own. And I do think he finds it by the end of the book, which is a really beautiful scene there at the end. But yeah, it's kind of that longing that I feel like all of us can probably relate to, right? For me, I would say it's probably a longing for God, right? For all of us, but also that longing for family and a place to belong. And so, yeah, hopefully the readers are able to identify with, feeling like there's something that's out there that they can't quite reach. And then maybe hopefully having the hope that they will be able to reach that. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
Thank you. Thank you, because this is a side note. I would look at like maybe a Da Vinci painting, and I would always look in the background and you would see like, like heels or just maybe nothingness back there. But I was always just curious to see like what really goes beyond that.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at the Mona Lisa, what's going on behind her?
Yeah.
I'm trying to act deep, but I'm not that deep. But I always I'm always looking at that. It's just fascinating. I look through every nook and cranny of a painting. And so, I just thought that was great. So I wanted to ask you about that. Okay, Carolyn, are you ready? If you've listened
I'm ready.
You ready for this lightning round?
Well, I'm going to say I'm ready, but I'm really bad at coming up with things quickly, just so you know.
No,
so I will be a very, very slow lightning.
There's no, really. It's called lightning round, but I don't have to. I won't stop you and say, next question. I won't do that. Okay, here we go. First thing pops into your mind. A painting you'd jump into.
% Starry Night. Like, I think that's why I started with that one in the first book, because that one already has so much movement in it. I think it's my favorite painting, and I think that's one of the reasons I love it. I just feel like it's already pulling you in, right?
Right. And that Don McLean song, Starry Night, that's always nice. I always think about the painting when I hear that song. Anyway.
That's awesome.
Which gift would you want? Tracker, navigator, or artist?
I think I would want navigator. I feel like in real life, I'm pretty good with directions anyways, so I feel like I identify with that one. But I will say for writing it was the hardest took so much research to try to like plot it out. And then sometimes I'd find out I'd made a mistake and had to go back and figure out how to get from one place to the next. Because I probably should mention so that readers or listeners know, like, so in this world of the Restorationists, the paintings of any particular artist are all connected. And so you could hop into a Van Gogh at the MoMA and end up across the world in Amsterdam at the Van Gogh Museum.
Oh, cool.
But then you'd have to hop to a different artist to go to, somewhere else possibly. So that made it interesting, difficult, fun, all of the above. So I would love George's gift of being able to just know exactly the right place to go, painting to enter. And yeah.
I would love that too. What was your hardest character to write?
Ravi was pretty difficult. I feel like it was harder for me to wrap my head around, like, okay, who is he? Like what? Because he had this conflict, right? Of like self-protection, but wanting to find family and wanting to trust, but having a hard time. So there was just like a lot of conflict there. And so it took me a while, I feel like, to get a good grasp on who he was, to be able to write from his perspective. But it was very rewarding.
Now, the most fun scene in the trilogy.
The most fun. Man, I love when the chase scene in book 2. That was a lot of fun. Again, like that was hard to write, and I hope it comes across well with readers. But like I love chase scenes in movies and stuff like that. So and I wanted it to kind of end in a surprising way, hopefully. And I accomplished that. But yeah, I would say that was probably the most fun.
The most fun. I love chase scenes too. A museum that every kid should visit.
Oh man, that every kid should visit. Well, I loved getting to visit the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. I got to go while I was working on book 2 and was scouting it out for book 3. Unfortunately, I was not super mobile. I was recovering from a broken foot. So I had a friend help push me around in a wheelchair. So I didn't get to see quite as much as I would have liked. But I would love to go back because you would need days really to see the whole thing. But yeah, that one was phenomenal. I believe it's the most visited museum in the United States. So for good reason.
For good reason. I agree. I've been there as well. And it is wonderful. So young people, ask your parents, take a trip. What is your favorite writing snack?
I don't do a lot of snacks while I'm writing, but I always have to have something to drink. So I usually have like a big glass of ice water and a Coke Zero.
Sounds good right now. Now, a book that you've loved recently.
That I've loved recently. Okay. I just read The Teacher of Nomadland by Daniel Nayeri, which I think just won a National Book Award or something.
It did. Yes.
It was fascinating. And I always love his books. But it was so interesting because you think like World War II and Iran, like how does that even go together? But like, okay, there was stuff going on. Like it really was a world war, I guess. So that was really interesting. I love his characters, and it was just such a hopeful book as well. So I just loved it.
That's going to be on my TBR list.
Good, yeah.
It's already stacked to the brim, but there's always audiobooks too. So
yeah, and he reads it himself, which I always love.
I love when writers read their books, especially their biographies. I love that.
Oh yeah.
Carolyn, this has been a meaningful conversation. I want to thank you for taking us behind the frames, into the corridors, and into the hearts of Ravi, Georgia, Vincent, and the entire Restorationist world. I just want to thank you for that. And readers, go get the whole trilogy and also check out Library's Most Wanted.
Oh, yes.
Check that out.
Thank you.
Go to your library. Yeah, go to your library and ask your librarian for it because it's a fun book. So I'll just thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you. And I want to mention before we go, where can our listeners find you? Are you on Instagram or you have your own website?
I am. Yep. All the things. So on Instagram, everyone can find me as House Full of Bookworms. I do have also a book review site, housefullofbookworms.com. And then for all things, with my writing is carolynleiloglou.com. It's way easier to spell than you think. It's just 3 English words put together. The first is lei, like the Hawaiian flower necklace, log, like a branch, and then lou, like the name, Leiloglou. And so, readers can find me there. There's also Restorationists.com where people can find other resources and read chapter 1 of any of the 3 books, I believe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So you heard it right there, listeners. Go out there and search for Carolyn. Thank you again.
Thank you. This has been wonderful.
Thank you so much for joining me today on Reading in the Middle. A huge thank you to Carolyn Leiloglou for sharing her story, her insights, and her passion for middle grade fantasy, and for giving us a peek into her newest book, Beyond the Far Horizon. If you loved today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a rating, and share it with a friend, especially someone who loves books or works with young readers. You'll find links in our show notes to Carolyn's full Restorationists trilogy and her website, so you can continue the adventure. Until next time, keep reading boldly, keep supporting great stories, and keep shining the spotlight on the voices in the middle. I'm Annisha Jeffries, and this has been Reading in the Middle. See you in the next one.